Hello everyone, welcome back to my channel Sahitya Abhyasa Academy. I am Anjum. Today I am going to give a class on Thomas More's a famous work Utopia. Utopia, a work is consists two books. Today I am going to give a class on book 1. Okay, in my previous class, I have discussed the biography of Thomas More, and of course, it is a syllabus of MA first semester syllabus. Okay, let's begin a first book of Utopia. Okay, Utopia in a first book, what we see is it is nothing but the name of the first book is Dialogue of Counsel or the Hythloday and his travels. The first book name of Utopia, that is Dialogue of Counsel or a Hythloday and his travel. Such kind of question may ask in competitive world, in competitive exam. Of course, it's a competitive world. And a critical discussion of European society. What it tells, what it talks about book 1. It is discussion. It is a critical discussion. So we can see few characters who are going to give their own words towards to the European society. What kind of a words? They are criticizing the ruling way of European society and especially England. Yes, that is English. It is England is completely included injustice, poverty and political corruption. We can see such unfair things are going in England. So this is what the main topic of where the characters are speaking about, making discussion about or giving their own disagreement towards to the England government or England society. Furthermore, in a first book, we see two characters discuss the social and economic issues early in 16th century in England, that is Renaissance period. Am I right? In the Renaissance period, what would be the condition of England during 16th century? Whether the social system is good or bad, whether the political system is a good or bad. What about the condition of economic? Whether it is a good or bad. Good means can we see the equality among the people? Bad means can we see the a corrupted kind of a ruling over them? This is what called good or bad. Okay, fine. Let's begin. And of course, what about the second book? What it tells? It is about the discourse of Utopia. Furthermore, here we can see the discussion of the true traveler, true thinker or a philosopher criticizing on England society. Whereas in a book second we can see Thomas More's reply of their discussion. He gives his he gives his own words. He replies the all of their words. Whatever you are talking about to making the ideal society, will it be possible? Can we make it in a possible? So such kind of a putting question mark on by his words on their discussion. So we can see a detailed description about the fictional and island Utopia where there is a equality and shared property, justice and peace. These are the things where again we can see the further discussion about these are the topics, and also we can see how Thomas More gives his own words over the discussion. Okay, let's begin with the first. And also there is one more point from book 2. It is a thought that more directly answers these problems with a solution. Yes, whatever in a book first, we can see the two philosophers, including our Thomas More. He is observing their discussion things. So the two philosopher is going to making so many questions. Yes, the city should be like this according to political. The society should be like that. How the society should be. While they are putting their argument, the questions, so here in a book second we can see how directly he gives the answer, whether it will be work on in the society or not. Such kind of a things we can study in a book 2. Shall see when we study book 2, but now shall see the book 1. It presents a critical discussion about the flaws of European government, flaws, unfair, injustice, am I right? Justice, inequality, how they are showing over the people of England. Yes, so this is how European government is ruling in the way, in an unfair way, the flaws, there is no any proper ruling things on people, and especially England, particularly about England. Europe, we can see the Germany, France, many more countries, but particularly they are focusing on England during the, that is to Renaissance period. When you know the complete biography of Thomas More, you come to know the meaning of Renaissance period. So watch my first video, that is biography of Thomas More. Okay, fine, let's begin. What about the background? See, the first book, a story set in Antwerp. This is very important, for your exam point. Belgium, around year around the year 1515. Thomas More, the character, and his friend, who are they? Peter Giles and the Raphael Hythloday. The Raphael Hythloday, both are well-traveled philosopher. By visiting so many places, he gained so much knowledge about the cities, about each city's governance policy, how it is. So he has such kind of a knowledge, and have a conversation about the politics, justice, and society. So these two fellows, they are talking about the politics, justice, society, about the England society. Okay, have the conversation about these things. And this book acts as a critic of European government, especially Henry VIII. What kind of a ruler he is during Renaissance period, how he showed his ruling over the people, whether in a positive or a negative, whether in a fair or a unfair, whether equality or inequality. Everything we can see in this book called Utopia. What is the main structure and a philosophical dialogue in the beginning of book first? It is presented like a Socratic dialogue. What is that? Like a Socratic dialogue. Dialogue means here to discuss the problems of contemporary European society and the potential of an ideal society. Yes, it is the potential of an ideal society. Here we can see the Socrates dialogue means format is categorized by the question and answer. Engage, aimed in format is characterized by a question and answer. Engage, aim at exploring a topic through the critical thinking and reason argument. Yes, what is that? The Socratic dialogue means first question arises, they find out the answer in a critical way, and also an argument way. That is what called a Socratic dialogue. Fine. And questions are asked in an examine political and a moral issue. Yes, we can see what kind of a questions are asked, what kind of a examine on given in a political and moral issue. The first one, the major topics in a book 1, we can see the first thing about corruption. What is the position of corruption in English society? The Ralph explains how landowners, means nobles, and evict farmer forcibly, taking their land and home for sheep grazing, called the enclosure movement. It is on type of a movement, that is enclosure movement. Here how that landlord forcibly take their land and home for the sheep grazing. We can see a type of a corruption, and this leads to employment, poverty, and theft. See, if a farmer have their land, they can do the work in that field. After doing that work in that field, they collected some grains. After collecting grains, they sell into the market. After selling their grains in a market, they will get a price, money. So this is how they lead a very normal life. If we snatch their land, then where they are going to do the work in their field? For that reason, unemployment will arise. After that unemployment, they search for food. If they won't get a food, because if they don't have money means they start to thieves, steal the things. They start to steal the things. By stealing the things, they started to fulfill their stomach by, yes, purchasing some food for their family, their children, for themselves. So this is how snatching their lands and homes, it is just like a corruption which leads to unemployment, poverty and theft. This government punishes petty thieves with the death. See, this is very stupid things. Giving a punishment in a petty thieves, very small, stealing a small things, and punishment would be take their life, that is death. It is a very kind of a harassment. It is very harsh kind of a punishment putting on the common people. This is not a right way. Yes, according to Raphael, showing their disagreement, the ruling power of English society, and which Raphael believes is cruel and unjust. Definitely, the ruling, the government's policy, the government's governance, English government's governance is like a cruel and unjust. They are not showing the any inequality towards to the common people, even though they are taking their lives for doing the very, stealing the very common things, very small things. How it possible? Yes, if someone does pickpocket means let them take his life because he has done such a big crime. This is not a right way. Let him to give a moral speech. Let him to give first their land and home. Let them to make them empowerment. Take them away from that. Take out of the unemployment. Then they can lead in a normal life. So this is how he criticized the cruel and unjust policy of English society. What about the next? Again, he criticized on capital punishment, legal punishment, lawful punishment. What is that? Raphael argues that killing thieves only makes the situation worse. Yes, it does not fix poverty. If someone if someone has stolen the things, if we take their life, can we make it proper society? Can we remove the stealing things from the society? No, we cannot. If we do things, if we take every thief's life means it won't be work, and it also not remove the poverty from the society also. More than what it happens, thieves will kill to avoid witness. So this is how, if you do so, yes, if you kill the person who stole the things, what he does, while he is stealing the things, if someone has seen him, someone has caught him by stealing, what he does, first he take the life off, means he killed that evidence. He should not speak up about me that I am, he should not, means he did not left that person as a evidence for his stealing thing. So this is how it will make more worse, but there is no any solution. So thieves will kill to avoid witness. It will happen in this way, but there is no any proper solution will get to the thieves. So he suggests reform. Try to reform that. Try to settle in a proper way and educate instead of violence. For violence should be punishment. It is not a right way. If there is a violence, give them education. Make them reform. Stealing, it is like a crime. It is a immoral deeds. Better to follow the moral one. Do the work. Earn the money and lead your life. This is what a kind of a reform thought. Put this kind of a notion in them. Give them education. We can stop for this. We can stop the violence. Fine. What about the greed and the private property? Greedy only get so much. Greedy means having many things to me only, oneself only, getting more and more. However they are making the property, that doesn't make them satisfied, still they want. That is what called greediness, greed, and private property on which to gain more property. That is only belong to me. That is private property. Yes, according to Raphael, again he criticized that the root causes of all problem is private ownership. The root causes. If there is a poor, if the rich person comes near him and snatches all his property and add in his private property and become one of a rich person, another will land owner will arise, and he follow the way he followed on this poor fellow. Again he is also attack on a poor people. This is what the corrupted way. But English society is not pointing on this. This is what the Raphael criticized the working of this thing. So he is also gain the property. He is also takes the property of poor fellow. This is how everyone chasing to gain the private property, not to make the solution of problems in society. This is how private property also increases the more issues in society. Private property creates like greed. From the greed itself we can see the property creating having so much property by the greediness and social inequality. Yes, if a person is very rich, if a person is very poor, society will see in a unequal manner. Without telling, he can get everything by seeing the position of in a property. What about the poor? He has to ask. If asked, there is no any response to give it back. So this is what see the inequality condition in society. What about the corruption? Definitely corruption will also arise with the greediness of the gaining the property. So he says society with the private property would be more just and peaceful. Yes, society. There must be society, but there should not be private collecting the private property. If there is no any private property is there, means we can see the just and a peaceful in a society. That is highly impossible. Yes, we cannot see the society without seeing the person who gains so much property. Yes, fine. But this is what Raphael criticized. What about the problem with the kings and courts? See the condition of kings and courts in England society, how they are ruling over common people, whether they give the importance to the people or not. Raphael refuses to serves kings because kings are surrounded by the flatterers. Serve kings because he refuses there should not any servant around any king, because the servants are like a flatterers. They always appreciate kings and king's work. They won't give any advice. Go and see the condition of people. Yes, what happens in a Bahubali? Once he is near to receive the position called king, his mother suggests to Bahubali just have a connection with the common people. What would be the condition of our land, our state? First study about that. After studying that, you come back to your land and take the position called king. So this is what, there is no any person who is going to speak about the condition of society, condition of people more than, instead that what they did, the servants, they become a flatterers, means they give so much appreciation words, always admiring the king, appreciate the king, whatever the king is telling they accept with blindly without making any questioning whether it is good, whether it is wrong. They won't teach, they won't suggest in a morally or the words which is coming from the king, whether it is moral or immoral. They won't repeat by giving their suggestion. No, nothing more than what they do, they flatters. The king is good. He has such a majestic power. He is known for a the great person, great king. So such kind of flattering words, appreciation word, admiring words. Okay, now we can say such thing. So he denied them. They don't care for wise advice. Being a king, they won't take wise advice. Instead, that they take only flattering things. This is what I hate. This one. I refuse this thing. Who? Raphael. And they focus on conquering lands, hoarding wealth, collecting, and maintaining power. They focus on conquering, being a king. I invaded this particular land and snatch means hoarding, means collecting the wealth, take it from my land, and this is what my power. They maintain their power. But what would happen in that land? They won't observe that one. Instead that they only think about the conquering the lands by legally or illegally, by morally or immorally, and after conquering that land, they collect the wealth from that land and try to maintain their position, their power. Yes, I have done such thing. Like Ashoka, the best example. This fellow doesn't know once war is done what would be the effect of that land. But Kalinga, the great war, the great battlefield, after returning that battlefield, he observed how the people's life is spoiled. The whole battlefield turned into bloodshed. That time the Ashoka has make a oath. Today onwards, I won't do any battle. I won't do any war. This is how made the Kalinga war transfer his heart cruel to polite, cruel to good. So this is how. So here we can see the king only gave the importance to conquering the lands, collecting the wealth, and maintain their position. They won't think about the common people life. So he claims that rulers don't value the truth or justice, only control. What is truth? What is justice? What is the value of these two? The king never think on that, especially King Henry VIII. They only control, hey, I am king, you should follow this one. Whether it is right or wrong, none of your business to advise me. Because I am king, I know everything. So this is what the words of king. So we can see for the eyes of king, there is no value for the truth and justice. Who can tell? Who can they to tell him? Who can they to advise him? There is no one, because they only welcome flatters, not a wise advisors. And what about the philosophy versus practical politics? Moore and Gill suggest that philosophers should give practical advice even it is not an ideal. Yes. So here we can see how the Gills and philosopher, they only gives the ideas. It should come in a practical way, action way. Yes. Should give only practical advice even it is not an ideal. So whatever it is, see, philosopher gives the words to king. The words may be not in an ideal one, good one, truth one, but whatever they give the words, it should in a practical. It should come into practical. It should come into in a action. So this is how. So Raphael disagrees. He believes telling the truth indirectly is the better than adjusting a wrong system. Very nice. So he criticized on the philosopher's way of telling the things. If philosopher did not have a courage to put the true things, courageous things in front of king, means it would better to keep himself in a silent, because truth only comes in a direct way, not in a adjusting way. That is what called wrong system. So he disagrees about that. He believes that telling truth indirectly to the king is a right way. That is right way, not in a adjusting themselves. Should we keep this thing in front of king or not? Talking with ourselves, it is not a right way. Better to we should put in front of king. This is what Raphael disagrees. What about the key philosophical ideas? First one is ideal explanation. What kind of ideal explanation? True justice can't exist. Yes, where there is a private property and economic inequality. Very nice. Yes, where we can see the dominance of these two words, especially the words that is private property and economical. If we see these two things are dominating the society, we won't see the true justice among them. Definitely poor will lose their life. Poor will lose their life. What about the philosophers? In politics should be truthful reformers, not servants, corrupt rulers. In a philosophers, in a politics, whoever are called themselves as a politician, there must be truthful reformer. Yes, not a servants, not a servants of corrupt rulers. If king is ruling in a corruption way, corrupted way, means we should not see the followers of this fellow called king. Yes, we should have the people called truthful reformer to our land. Once we get that kind of a reformer to our land, means definitely our land would be grow. But what about the money corrupt? Wealth leads to war. See, what happens if money corrupts lots? Wealth leads to war, pride, oppressions. Yes, lackness, weakness, losing. Yes, money corrupts wealth. If money corruption would be lot in society, means it would be lead into war. Yes, a kind of a war. ಉಳ್ಳವರು ಮತ್ತು ಇಲ್ಲರ ನಡುವೆ ಹೋರಾಟ, that is war. And a pride, feeling a king himself having so much pride. And also the landlords are land owners, they feel themselves very pride. And oppressions, the person who is going under the torture and trouble will remain like that only. So this is what money corrupts. These are the things. And rejection, the capital punishment. Yes, capital punishment, legal doing small things, putting high kind of a punishment is a right thing. It is not a right thing. First remove this thing from the politics. Yes, it is better to rehabilitate than execute. Give it to new life, give it to new moral to them. Execute, take the life. It is better to make them correct. Rehabilitate, make them correct by giving proper knowledge, proper moral, proper education them, and also try to warn them before taking their life. This is what rejection of capital punishment. This is what giving the hints to become a perfect politics. Fine. What about the More's response? Here Thomas More speaks about the reply of Ralph and Pilgates. Am I right? Gill's words. Sorry. More respects Raffles but skeptical about whatever Ralph, a traveler, a great philosopher, a statesman, well-known person, knowledgeable person, whatever till now he has, shows his disagreement, shows his rejections, shows his argument, that would be considered as a respectful words. But what about whether it happens in a society? That is quite skeptical, doubtful one. ಹೇಳೋದು ಶಾಸ್ತ್ರ, ತಿನ್ನೋದು ಬದನೆಕಾಯಿ. Everyone tells like that. But can it be possible to make it on action in a society? It's very difficult. It would be a doubtful one thing. For a society without private property working in a reality, can we see a society where we cannot see the private property holders? Highly impossible. Am I right? We can see these holders. We can see the rich people, aristocratic people. Without them, we cannot see the society. It is impossible. Sorry, it is highly impossible. So working in reality, people giving up wealth and power for equality. People will give their wealth give up their wealth and power for equality? Highly impossible thought one. Yes, no one can give up their property, wealth, power for the sake of equality in society. No, highly not. There would be two varnas. Yes, atharna varna, shudra, samavartana varna. There is one more in the beginning. Is that I'm not getting? Okay, I tell you. Right now, I'm not remembering that thing. How the four varnas are in society? Are they shows the equality with each other? No, highly not. Each varna maintain their own position. Will it possible? Will give up their wealth, power, yes, and for their equality, to seeing the equality in society? No, these are our what stays in a doubtful, doubts, doubtful. It's highly impossible that it will be work on in a society. This is what the most response. The first purpose of this book is it is critique a real world government, English government. Second one, set up the contracts with the ideal society described in a book 2. What would be the ideal society? Till now, we can see the critics on the English government. What would be the, description of becoming or being a ideal society? We can see this thought in a book second. So reader question what justice really means. After studying this book 1, reader come to know what would be the real meaning of justice. Yes, they can make the question themselves, or they can make the question on by studying these are the things. Sorry. Core issue discussed. Unjust punishment. Yes, there is no value for there is no justice for the crime people who did the crime. Yes, especially thieves. That we can see the unjust punishment in the English government, unemployment caused by the land enclosure. They only created this thing, and the greed and private property sources of crime. Yes, we can see crime can be happen when a person chase to the gain the private property in a greedy way. That happens to the crime. And the kings and rulers ignoring the wise advice. See, stupidity always in a king's itself. Who else to go and tell about or give the advice to the king? There is no one. All are flatters one. Okay, and kings and rulers ignoring wise advice, and philosopher was politics. What happened? Should thinkers speak the truth or adjust? Whether they call themselves as a politician and they call themselves as a philosopher, do they have dareness to speak up in front of king about the truth, and whether they should adjust themselves with the words of king? Yes, these are the things where we have discussed in a book first. Hope so you have understood the theme of the book first, what Thomas More has written in a book first. Hope so dears you have understood this class. Shall meet in a next video on Utopia book second. Until, take care and subscribe my channel. If you understand my class, please like my videos. Until, bye bye.